All right, friends and pop culture enthusiasts, wherever you are in podcast listening land, welcome to the Top 5 Podcast, the penultimate pop culture podcast out there. How many more P words do you think I can say today? Plentiful plethora of P words. Okay, that's embarrassing. I'm your host, Kris McPeak, and my sister, Annie Pruitt, is... Oh, Pruitt! That's even better. Plethora of podcasting.
What a pleasure to be here.
That's insane. Hi, Annie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I am okay. It is the Saturday. So by the time this posts, it will already be past Rex Manning Day. So, Annie, allow me to be the first to wish you happy Rex Manning Day.
And happy Rex Manning Day to you.
Thank you muchly. How do we figure out a way to have an entire episode dedicated to Rex Manning Day? I do not know.
You can find a way.
Maybe we figure that out sometime.
Yeah.
So thanks for putting up with our tiny eccentricities on, missing a couple weeks here and there, podcast listening people. Between Annie and myself and the world, there's just a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
And we're, trying to find our way through that all.
Absolutely.
But it's good to see Annie's face and get to work here chatting about our professional series, because we are still running through the professional series. We have a couple more things we want to tick off here and there. But I think for right now, Annie, what is the professionals topic of the day?
So today we're going to do our favorite priests or men of the cloth, if you will. Priests.
Religious leaders.
Yes. Thank you.
Religious leaders who stand behind a pulpit and do stuff.
Yes, exactly.
I had totally gone down the road of this only being priests.
Yes.
So most of my folks are priests, but that's neither here nor there. It's a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So who starts today, Annie, my darling?
You're going to start today.
I am going to start. Okay.
You are going to go first.
My number 5 is going to be probably, let me think about this. Is this the last good role Mel Gibson played? Father Graham Hess in the M. Night Shyamalan film Signs. I don't know. And the thing of it is, we don't really see him as a priest for most of the movie, as he has become a priest who's kind of lost his faith. If memory serves, his wife died and trying to figure out how to raise his kids, and his brother moved in, and then weird shit starts happening out in the crop circles, et cetera, et cetera. And then you probably know the rest because we've talked about this movie before on the show. This is a movie, an M. Night Shyamalan movie that I love until like the last 5 minutes. But nonetheless, I love thinking about the idea of Mel Gibson in this role, and that he was very good in this part. And I like the idea of, at the end, spoiler alert, him kind of finding his way back again and putting the collar back on. So that's my number 5.
I love it. Okay. My number 5, and this is one of the reasons why I had to go outside of the not just priests, but my number 5 is the Reverend Shaw Moore, as played by John Lithgow in the movie Footloose.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you'll recall, he's Ren McCormick's, or he's the father of Ren McCormick's love interest, played by Laurie Singer. And he's the one that makes the town like it's illegal to dance, and Kevin Bacon shows up and wants to dance. I'm not going to do a rehash of the movie Footloose, but the reason I love his character so much is he has one of my favorite lines when it comes to parenting of any movie whatsoever. And we don't start trusting our children, when will they ever become trustworthy? So I love the way he has a change of heart, and like his relationship with his wife, who's played by Diane Wiest, who's an absolute doll. So yes. I love him, and I love John Lithgow. I don't think I've seen anything that he's in that I have not loved. But in terms of representing somebody's, very, very religious man, on screen. That's going to be my number 5, the Reverend Shaw Moore.
Oh, I love it, Annie. That's a great selection. And I echo all of your sentiments about that character in that movie. Yeah. I met Kevin Bacon once upon a time, a while back now, and I had told him that Footloose was one of my favorite movies of his because of the whole finding your voice and standing up for the causes you believe in, and that I have used that to teach students before. And of course, he was highly intoxicated and probably doesn't remember meeting me, but that's neither here nor there. It was a cool thing. Hey, so my number 4, I'm going to go with, and I don't even know why this popped into my head, probably because the name of the movie is Priest. I've only seen it once, but I'm going with Father Greg Pilkington as portrayed by Linus Roach in the movie called Priest. And I want to say, I have to take a quick peek. This came out in 1994, I think. And it's the story of a Catholic priest who's gay and is struggling with his whole, like, am I a man of the cloth? What do I do about my sexuality? How do I, compromise, or what's the word I'm looking for? Reconcile this with my life and the oath I've taken, et cetera, et cetera. Let me quickly look this up.
Excuse me.
I can remember seeing trailers for this because I was living in Washington when this came out. So in the whole, heat of the total indie movement that was the 1990s. And this was one of his very, very first movies. It also features Tom Wilkinson and Robert Carlyle. But Father Greg Pilkington is newly assigned to St. Mary's Parish in inner city Liverpool and is startled to discover that another father is engaged in a sexual relationship with a female. Well, on down the line, he does come out as gay. And maybe I need to see this movie again, but I do remember liking Linus Roach very much for his portrayal. And yeah, I guess I probably need to see this movie again because I'm thinking it's not what I thought it was. But regardless, yeah, it's
I've never seen it.
It is high drama for reals. So anyway, yeah.
Oh, he's in Viking.
What's that?
Linus Roach. He's in the show Vikings. He plays King of Wessex.
Ah, and he was also on one of the Law and Order spinoffs.
Yes.
Yeah, Batman Begins. He played.
I'll be darned. Okay.
John Wayne. Bruce Wayne's dad. He was on Homeland for a bit.
Okay.
Oh, he's on the Showtime Fellows. Okay, yeah. Anyway, that's my number 5. Or my 4.
Right.
My number 4. Not the best, but I just remember him. I remember his intensity, and I apparently need to see this movie again. So there you go.
Okay. So my number 4, hang on one second. I got to double check. My number 4 is actually going to be from a television show.
Okay.
But I had to break the rules, I guess, but I don't think we distinguished it has to be movies. But
rules were made to be broken anyway.
But this one is going to be William Christopher playing the character Father Mulcahy in show MASH. So if you know anything about this household, we watch MASH a lot. One of the all-time greatest TV series. And Father Mulcahy is the priest that is, the chaplain for this MASH unit. And so more often than not, he's called upon to do so many things outside of the realm of what a priest should be asked to do. But he supports this, this surgical team. And he's quite comical. The time when he kind of accidentally gets drunk and he's trying to preach about not drinking when he's drunk. He has some very, very sweet, tender moments, and he's one of the best characters. Well, I mean, all the characters on the show are great, but I love him in particular, and so that's why he's my number 4, Father Mulcahy
he is in the movie. I don't know if it's the same actor playing Father Mulcahy in the movie, but he does show up in MASH the movie. So
yeah, the 1972 movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Movie 2.
So I'm at number 3. Yes, I'm at number 3. So yes. I'm going to go with the very goofy Edward Norton as Father Brian Finn in Keeping the Faith, which is it's a silly, dorky little film, but it's very cute. And Edward Norton wrote it and directed it and stars in it with his buddy Ben Stiller. And they play childhood friends who have grown up each to become men of the cloth in their two religions. Edward Norton's character, Brian, is a Catholic priest, and Ben Stiller's, I'm going to forget the name of his character, but he's a Jewish rabbi. And their best friend, who was a girl from grade school, is coming to town, and they both realize that they're in love with her. But obviously Brian Finn can't be, because he's taken the oath of celibacy. And, what happens next is just slapstick, funny, kooky stuff. But I do enjoy this movie. It's very light, it's very fun, and it's a very different role for Edward Norton that we're kind of used to at this point anyway. When this movie came out, we were accustomed to seeing him in these darker, heavy roles. So it was kind of fun to see him try and pull some romantic comedy stuff off. And I give him props, for writing and directing this himself. And Jenna Elfman is the girl that comes in from out of town, the old friend. And yeah, it's full of all kinds of cuteness. So that is my number three, Father Brian Finn. In keeping
Okay. I haven't seen that. So this is going to be a good watch list for me.
I'm saying.
Okay, let me look. I'm sorry. I should have had all this ready to go when I was. So my number three, again, I'm going coloring outside of the lines today. But my number three is going to be the character known as Isaac Kroner, as portrayed by John Franklin from the movie Children of the Corn.
Isaac. Isaac.
So Isaac is the religious leader of the children of this town. And as soon as my IMDb comes up, the town where the children have gone through and killed all the adults, and they run the town. So he's the religious / cult leader, but he has the essence of being this priest-looking character. Yeah, a religious cult, if you will. So, of course, you got a very young Linda Hamilton playing the protagonist against these devil evil children.
Yes.
And it's cool because it's a Stephen King story. I love it. It's one of the first scary movies that I watched with my kids, who are now, I guess I shouldn't have done that, because now we're all horror movie junkies. But John Franklin, so Isaac is creepy as fuck. He is creepy. He has this very strange, surreal voice that just makes you kind of shudder. And the Gatlin, Nebraska is the name of the town. So the fast forward to living in Kansas all these years later, we're driving past a cornfield, and I hear one of the kids say something about he who walks behind the rows. The pop culture moment that will stay with me for the rest of my life. So that's another reason why it's my favorite. So for how often we refer to he who walks behind the rows. So thank you, Isaac Kroner from Children of the Corn, my number three.
Oh yeah. And keep creepy old Malachi in the movie too. One of the henchmen.
Yes.
Isaac. I don't know if you remember this or if you were even there that night, but that movie poster from the 1984 movie has, I guess, what Billy Bob Thornton would call the sling blade.
Yep.
And so we were watching that movie, and it ended, and I think this was on Halloween, and our father comes from behind the sofa with the poker thing for the fire, and he's like waving it around and says, "Who wants to take out the trash?" Like, oh, it's not scary. Which just makes me giggle, because it looked nothing like, the sling blade or the whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Some folks call it a Kaiser blade. I call it a sling blade. Regardless, though, that movie creeps me out big time, because those kids are fucking weird.
Yes.
And now this was Linda Hamilton pre-Terminator, right? So before she got her badass on.
Yeah, well, it's definitely pre-Terminator 2.
Okay, so Isaac Kroner. Okay, my number two is from a movie that received a lot of controversy, but this is a Robert De Niro character, and I do love him as this character in this movie. So I'm going with Father Bobby Carrillo in Sleepers from 1996. And tons of mega child stars about to be big time stars. And, other Brad Pitt was in it, and Billy Crudup before he was the semi big deal that he became. And Ron Eldard from ER is in it. But you've got, oh my gosh, Jason Patrick is in there. He plays the adult. I'm forgetting everybody's names now. Shakes. They called him Shakes. And Minnie Driver's in it. And you've got, oh geez, who plays oh, anyway, I'll look up the kids in a minute. But he was like the hip, cool priest that would play basketball with you and was a smoker and would still like get on your case when you screwed up, and winds up being, the one who's there for them while they're in this horrible experience in this, boys detention facility that may or may not have been a true story. The guy that wrote the book, Lorenzo Carcaterra, insists that all that stuff did happen, but there have been, questions about whether that facility existed, et cetera, et cetera. Kevin Bacon is in there. He plays the nasty prison guard with a handful of other interesting dudes. But this is one of my favorite Robert De Niro roles because he's the kind of priest that I would have wanted to know when I was a teenager. And if I wasn't, Catholic, like I would want Father Bobby Carrillo to hang around with my buddies too, because he was fun, but he never let you get away with anything. And the level of support from this man and love that he had of these kids was just really impressive. So he's my number 2.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to have one of these 2 on your list. So I'm going to put one of them out there now. And that's
if you don't know what my number 1 is by now, there's something wrong with you.
Well, so tell you what, I think we both know. So let me flip something around. So my number 2, because we're gonna have a tie with number 1, right?
Probably.
Okay. So my number 2, I'm gonna go with Robert Mitchum as the Reverend Harry Powell in the movie The Night of the Hunter. So while he's not actually a reverend, he's pretending to be a reverend. He's a former inmate who got out of jail and is going to prey upon this mother of 2 children. His cellmate had this money stashed, and so Robert Mitchum disguises himself essentially as the Reverend Harry Powell and bewitches this woman into marrying him. He's got the awesome, love-hate on his hand, the tattoos for some of
wow.
But he is haunting the way he plays this reverend role, between the way he sings, and he's just he wants to kill those kids so badly. He's just the most evil, wicked villain ever. And it's the weird how we came to love that movie in this household. Keith and I were just flipping through channels, and TMC. Yeah, Turner Classic Movies comes on.
Classic Movie, TCM.
Watch the first minute of it, and we're like, oh, this looks interesting. Let's check it out for a minute. And 2 hours later, we're like, holy shit, that was amazing. So great movie. So yeah, my number 2, you have to see this if you've never seen it. That's my first must watch.
Yeah, I have not seen it, but it's on my watch list, and I can't remember if it's something that's on Prime right now or if I have to rent it. But I'm very aware that you're a huge fan, and that I need to look into that at some point.
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so that's my number 2.
Good. All right, my honorable mention, I'm going to go with a notoriously semi-famous Orson Welles role that, I don't know, is maybe 3 to 5 minutes long. And that's him as Father Mapple in Moby Dick. And he's not a Catholic priest. He's a Episcopalian, I think, pastor, but he still goes by Father Mapple. But he is quite an outlandish character. He just appears the one time in the movie right before the Pequod is going to go out to sea. And we know Ishmael and Queequeg have signed on to join the Pequod with Gregory Peck's Captain Ahab. But first, they have to go to church and they have to hear what Father Mapple has to say. And he climbs up to his pulpit, which is actually a ship's I don't know if it's the stern. I think it's the stern. He preaches from the stern of the ship that he climbs up a rope ladder to get to. And it's, highly, I guess, flamboyant, but, no less intense about Daniel and the whale and all that story. But if you, think about the little roles that Orson Welles tend to pop up in during those times I would say post Citizen Kane, but pre Touch of Evil. And I enjoyed that one. And I watched that movie a lot in the last year. It popped up on Prime one night and I was like, I can't remember the last time I watched this movie, so I think I need to do it. But yeah, so that's my honorable mention. Father Mapple, as portrayed by Orson Welles in Moby Dick.
Very good. So my honorable mention is going to be Father Vito Cornelius. I need to look up the actor that played this in the movie The Fifth Element. So he is the priest who knows everything about the four stones that represent the four elements, and then the fifth element played by the lovely Mila Jovovich. So it's a comedy. One of my favorites. Gary Oldman plays an absolute slimy, horrible. It's one of my very, very good Gary Oldman movie. But Father Vito Cornelius is very sweet and a little bumbling at times, but it's cute and it's fun. Okay, John Bennett plays it. I'm sorry. I don't have.
Oh, that's not the Ian Holm character.
Is it where am I at here? I'm so messed up. How did I mess this up so badly?
It's okay.
I know who I'm talking about though. Is that played by Ian Holm?
I think it's played by Ian Holm. I'm looking it up right now. Fifth Element.
Help me out here. I'm a hot mess right now.
Father Vito. Yeah, it's Ian Holm. Wow.
Okay.
He got really old really fast.
Good Lord, yes. So great movie. He's super fun. He's a good guy. It's nice to see good guys, good priests on film, since most of mine were, well, yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say. That's my honorable mention.
I love it. And actually, Ian Holm is no longer with us. He died in June of 2020. Sir Ian Holm.
Sir Ian Holm.
I love him. He's done some great movies that are some of my absolute favorites, not the least of which is Night Falls on Manhattan with Andy Garcia. But okay. All right. So number one to me, right?
Yeah. Well, number for us, I guess.
I'm not going with the 1-2 punch. I only picked one priest, and I picked Father Damien Karras in The Exorcist.
Okay.
And I mean, if you've followed the show and you know anything about me and The Exorcist, you know that this is the scariest horror movie in the whole wide world. It still scares the shit out of me at age 56. And how can you not pick Father Karras, who was losing his faith and then, kind of comes out of the woodwork after he lost his mother and comes to save Reagan, and they bring a real exorcist on board. That's Father shit. I'm having issues too. I'm having a post-menopause brain issue here. Father Marin, played by Max von Sydow, who actually was not anywhere close to being as old as he was supposed to be made in the movie. But regardless, we know that Reagan kills Father Marin, and that's a very sad thing. But Father Karras basically sacrifices himself to get this demon out of Reagan. And that is sad and frightening and scary all at the same time. But, Jason Miller did not make a lot of movies. He was a playwright by trade. And holy crap, if he didn't pull out all of the stops for his first real acting gig, it's quite amazing. And yeah, I think that he is the absolute bestest ever priest in popular culture.
Well, I concur. I say that I thought we were going to go with a tie for the two priests from The Exorcist. But yes, Father Damien Karras, who also reprises his role as Father Karras in The Exorcist 3.
He does.
And it is just as creepy and scary as his body is being used as the vehicle for this, as the Gemini killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, for all the same reasons, it's this household is watches so many horror movies as it is. And even though it did not do well at the box office, I still even like the new Exorcist movie that came out. But yeah, Jason Miller, he nailed it in both movies as Damien Karras. And then of course Max von Sydow is magical.
Yeah.
And wonderful, and it's horrifying. So I concur. That's my number one as well.
Well, there we go. We've got one little bit of overlap, and I kind of figured it was going to go down that way because, that's just who we are. Nonetheless, so Annie, why don't you recap your top 5 for us?
All right. So my honorable mention, Father Ian Cornelius from Fifth Element, from 5 to 1, Reverend Shaw Moore, Footloose, Father Mulcahy from MASH, Isaac Kroner, I guess you could say the Reverend or the religious leader, Isaac Kroner from Children of the Corn, Reverend Harry Powell from Night of the Hunter, and then a tie for first, Jason Miller and Max von Sydow in The Exorcist as Father Karras and Father Merrin.
Loverly. Well, I have Father Mapple as played by Orson Welles and Moby Dick as my honorable mention, and then Father Graham Hess from Signs, Mel Gibson, Father Greg Pilkington from Priest, Linus Roach, Father Brian Finn, Keeping the Faith, Edward Norton, Father Bobby Carrillo in Sleepers, that's Robert De Niro, and Father Damien Karras as portrayed by Jason Miller in The Exorcist. And The Exorcist 3, I suppose one could say.
Perfect.
Oh, yay. All right. Well, that's our religious priest episode for you today from the Professional series. And we'll be back with more fabulously enticing top 5 lists for you to banter about and kick around. In fact, if you want to argue with us on one of our selections, you can do that by sending us an email to hello@thetop5podcast.com. So for Annie Pruitt, I'm Kris McPeak, and we will catch up with you on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye.